fix bayonets. And this is why older warfighters will always be a problem for younger politicians. Here's a hint. You're politicians. We don't want you to have nice things. Hang with me. We rarely have a clearer view of history from a bird's eye perspective, or a better view than the American people could ever even hope for, than through the lens of those who've lived it. Back in 1993, a system was established where every 3 years the then 184 member states of the United Nations collectively decided on a formula known as the Scales of Assessment to determine how much each country contributed to the UN overall budget, as well as a separate amount for peacekeeping operations. By some extreme lack of leadership and a profound lapse in fiscal management and judgment, the U.S. was the largest debtor to the United Nations at the time. The reason for the high compromising percentages allegedly were the effects on U.S. foreign policy.
This past weekend, we all reacted with anger and horror as an armed Somali gang desecrated the bodies of our American soldiers and displayed a captured American pilot. All of them soldiers who were taking part in an international effort to end the starvation of the Somali people themselves.
Yeah, that aged well. But some other key payments were also made in 1993 by the U.S. government towards the overall UN budget. An arrears payment, whatever the hell that is, and doesn't even begin to make sense, because we've been carrying the UN for multiple decades, at least half a century that I know of. And that payment alone was for $533 million. That's well over $500 million. I know it hardly even makes our brains even take pause nowadays, but back in 93, that was a crap load of money. And in today's inflation, that's just over $1 billion.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
And here's where it gets interesting. Because then specifically right around October 1st, 1993, a new payment was made for quote-unquote peacekeeping costs. The total then included $233 million for the, again, quote-unquote regular budget for the UN, as well as another $323 million for peacekeeping operations. Now let me throw this question out there for the libtards in the group. Does it look like we got a whole lot of bang for our buck with our peacekeeping dollars back in 1993? At the time, the U.S. Congress capped contributions to 22% of the overall UN regular budget and 25% of the Global Fund for Peacekeeping influencing. Adjusting for inflation, that's worth $2.24 billion today. And what did all that do for our foreign policy in the end? Well, I can tell you this much. When we arrived home, it was a quiet homecoming because the nation had somehow experienced some level of shame at some political level for our dead warfighters, and it somehow trickled down to us. Make no mistake. Oh, wait, I get it. Some of you aren't old enough to remember that, so let me school you on this one. Ilhan Omar, a currently serving congresswoman, yeah, her father was a man who once supplied manpower and weapons to the savages of the Haber-Gitter clan, who once tried to kill me and my people, and did in fact kill many of our friends and fellow countrymen back in 1993. And after we tried to feed them, the sadistic clan leadership, the same infrastructure that exists today, both in Somalia and in Minneapolis and other places, rewarded us by dragging our fellow warfighters' bodies through the streets in effigy. Hey, Bill, how'd that foreign policy work out for us? A lot of things in life are about perspective, but I'm going to tell you like this. When the Omars came to the United States, they were not fleeing persecution. They were fleeing justice. And although young Ilhan was only a child at the time, that doesn't change the fact that her immigration status was forged from a lie. Big difference. That right there, that's me, Will, Vino, and Hart back in the Moog in 1993. Back then, we, and by we, I mean all U.S. warfighters, were promised UN pay as being a member of an occupying force during a peacekeeping operation under UN control to feed the starving children in Africa that you've no doubt heard about. That UN peacekeeping pay was $125 per day, times 180 days, totaling just over $22,000 per American warfighter over the course of our tour. But none of us ever saw a dime of that money, because then President Clinton said we weren't mercenaries, and then proceeded to recall our dead as unfortunate losses. We weren't even people to him, or fellow Americans, but just the pawns of the day. It seems the Democratic Party and the Somali people have a lot in common, in that they do not have an extreme value for life. Just about everyone I know who served there would be more than happy to offer that $22,000, myself included, to any one of the families of the dead, for their children or grandchildren. But at this point, I'm pretty sure that might even be pointless. And the only way to truly make amends for all of this would be to kick these people the hell out of our country. I said what I said. Even the kingdom of heaven is guarded by gates. But think about it. If we were all supporting them globally through the UN and through a supposedly fully funded operation to take care of them, then the question begs itself. Why are they still starving 33 years later? And 33 years later, the descendants of the people we fought are now ripping off our government to the tune of over $18 billion. That is utter insanity at a level this warfighter can't begin to comprehend. But I do understand a few things. I can understand how woefully inept this generation of Somalis is, as they grew up with parents with such severe post-traumatic stress because we gave it to their parents after an absolute shellacking of a lifetime 3 decades ago. Make no mistake, we came to help the starving, but did not hesitate to defend each other. That I can understand. I can understand how a whole people with an underdeveloped frontal cortex can believe with unmitigated levels of sadistic stupidity that the world owes them somehow something, and how those thoughts can be rampant among their countrymen. God may have created Somalia, but I have seen the nothingness that they have turned it into. May God one day restore his creation. I understand it when I see the Somali women angry all over the internet, and I can almost empathize, especially after the genital mutilation they were forced to endure as part of their so-called faith. Their women only dream of obtaining the feeling of self-value that our American women are born with. But hatred will never bring them to it. Only God can do that. The United States has paid a high cost over much time and through much of our treasure towards helping this country once already. And now we have a former soldier as the governor of this particular state, allowing this level of fraud to happen. Maybe Tim Walz should be the next one to get a nastygram from Pete Hegseth. And my last thought is this. If you've never fought the Somali National Alliance face-to-face on their own turf, through iron sights, and experienced true clan warfare in its most true and brutal form, where human beings are literally being hacked to death, then you will never possess the comprehension of the depth nor breadth that these people will go to or go through in order to deceive you, lie to you, or cause you harm. And I guarantee you that you have no opinion that I care to entertain. I'm Ron Breland, University of Mogadishu, class of 93, and I approve this message. See you on the other side.
Do not get off on exit 22. Over.